Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. In today's video I am once again back with yet another top 10 list, although in this video we're going to be focusing on a topic that I haven't as of yet actually covered on the channel, that being a top 10 third-party movie live-action Transformers list. Now this particular list is one that I've wanted to compile for quite some time now. How the third-party companies are just absolutely killing it when it comes to product lately, so I've wanted to postpone this for as long as I possibly can so that we can really get some killer entries here onto this list. Now some of the figures that I shall mention in this particular video, please feel free to check out the description box down below, as I will provide links of where you guys can pick them up right now, and there may also be a discount code actually attached to that, so you may be able to use the discount code BAYVERSE in order to get a discount off of a certain figure, but I'll be sure to mention that down in the description. So let's get straight into this list. Now many of you will be surprised to see that the three figures before me are in fact on my honourable mentions. Sadly these guys didn't make it onto the top 10, and I know there'll be many of you who think I'm absolutely bonkers and not to throw the Toy World Optimus Prime on there, as he is potentially one of the best third-party Optimus Prime figures we've ever gotten, and if I hadn't just picked up the MPM 12 Optimus Prime, then he probably would have actually been on this list. But personally for me, I do think that Takara Tomi's Optimus is slightly more movie accurate to what we saw from the Bumblebee movie, so sadly he is just on the honourable mentions list, and I already actually have an Optimus Prime on the top 10 list, so I didn't necessarily want to flood it with too many of the same character. But Toy World Optimus Prime, by far the best third-party representation of this particular model that we've gotten so far. I think it's excellent. The materials for the most part are awesome. He does have some faults, such as the really loose and wobbly wrists. Just to demonstrate that, you can see how they really can't hold nothing, hence why I've got none of his accessories actually installed. But you can see that as far as a presence is concerned, he looks remarkable. Really excellent looking figure, fantastic transformation, very complex, but I believe results in a really awesome looking truck mode. And then we also have a few more obscure third-party characters, such as this, which I believe is the Dream Factory God 09 MPM style Bone Crusher. This guy is by far my standard masterpiece Bone Crusher. He looks absolutely incredible. If I just bring him in here for a closer look, you can see the attention to detail on this guy honestly is so much better when in comparison to some of the offerings we've gotten from Hasbro, and sadly no other third-party company has actually picked up this particular character design, so this really is the best option if you guys want a movie masterpiece representation of this guy in your collection. I think he's fantastic, but sadly once again just didn't make it onto that top 10 list, as I don't regard him as highly as some of the other figures that will feature in this video, but still super awesome. Has a fantastic looking alternate mode, however a very complex conversion. I do believe I did a review on him, so please feel free to check that out if you want to see this guy in more detail. And we have a very recently released figure, that being I believe the Black Mamba Skybreaker. Now this is essentially Unique Toy Dragoon, however KO'd by Black Mamba, and this guy's got a brand new head sculpt in order to make him slightly more movie accurate, as well as one which does in fact house an LED electronic function, and he is in fact actually downscaled, meaning that he's more in scale now with those other Unique Toy figures such as Optimus Prime and Lockdown. And this is by far the best The Last Night Transformers Megatron. This guy looks absolutely incredible. In regards to robot mode, it's almost as close as the non-transforming official 3.0 version, which is licensed by Hasbro. That's how awesome this particular mold is, but originally it was created by Unique Toys, so whether or not you pick up the Black Mamba version or the Unique Toys version, you're still getting an awesome release. But if I had to choose between the two, I would definitely recommend going with this Black Mamba option, as we've got an awesome looking head sculpt, once again with LEDs, and he is more in scale with some of those other movie masterpiece figures, and he too has also got a killer alt mode, that being the jet that we see in Transformers 5. So with the honourable mentions now completely covered, we'll very swiftly move on to spot number 10. So landing himself at spot number 10 is the Wei Zhang Hide Shadow, also known as an MPM style version of Blackout. Now the reason why this guy is on the lower end of the spectrum is merely just because essentially Wei Zhang took the Hasbro mold, upscaled it, and added a few tweaks and adjustments. Some of the other figures that are higher up on the list are in fact complete brand new original unique molds, so of course we're just naturally more impressive when I got them in hand, as I really knew what to expect here with this guy. But the improvements that Wei Zhang actually made to him are incredible. Now sadly he's only really been in my collection I'd say for about 18 months, maximum 2 years, and you can see the discolorization. I have never seen discolorization on any third-party figure or official figure as bad as we've got here with this Wei Zhang Blackout. You can see how all of these particular joints here have in fact turned this almost green colour. Now whilst it isn't the most ugly colour in the world, considering that Blackout, and I guess you could also say Grinder in the movie, did have a very similar colour scheme to this, it certainly isn't a great sign of the type of materials that these guys used, as honestly this guy's not been in the sun at all. I have actually tried my best to keep the majority of my collection out of sunlight, so to be fair, this guy should not have discolorized as badly as he has. You can see here all of these panels have gone green, which is really unfortunate. But in regards to presence, he looks exceptional. Now this particular rendition did have the capability of actually detaching the backpack, which created for a much cleaner and much more movie accurate silhouette, and he actually feels fantastic. The materials that they have used, despite them going green, are very robust. I haven't had any any breakages on this particular guy, which is excellent. He did come with Scorponok, and for those of you like me who picked up the deluxe version, you know that the back section did in fact transform into this almost desert battle as seen in the first 2007 movie. Much like that Bone Crusher that we took a look at in the honourable mentions, for those of you wishing to fill out your movie masterpiece collection, then this is by far the best substitute that you can currently pick up on the market in order to really get the definitive representation of Blackout into your collection. But definitely a fantastic looking figure, and I'd love to know down in the comment section below on what you guys think of this particular release. Finding himself at spot number 9 is the Zeta Toys Blitzwing. Now this is a figure that I haven't as of yet actually reviewed over on the channel, but rest assured I am currently working on the review, and I will provide a link down in the description box below where you guys can pick this up. I actually never thought this guy was going to beat the Mechanical Alliance Blitzwing, as on paper they looked very similar. However, actually getting him in hand, he's so much better. His transformation is, whilst of course very complex, actually runs a lot more smoothly, and unlike the Mechanical Alliance version, the legs stay together so much better, but we'll touch base more with that when I take a look at him in his own individual review. This is an awesome Blitzwing. The character of Blitzwing in the Bumblebee movie was by far one of the best character designs that we'd really seen since Transformers Dark of the Moon, at least in my personal opinion, and I think that Zeta Toys absolutely knocked it out of the park with him. He looks literally as if though he's jumped off the screen. The only area which I'm not a massive fan of is the head sculpt, and once again that's something I'll go into more detail with when I do in fact actually get round to reviewing him. But his jet mode is awesome. He comes with a great array of accessories, and much like the majority of these figures on this list, truly is MPM style. For those of you who want to pick up as many definitive masterpiece-esque figures, then this is definitely one I would recommend checking out. He's got some great articulation, really good materials such as die-cast and very heavy-duty plastic. He scales really well with some of those other movie masterpiece Transformers, and overall it's just a very, very solid figure. Definitely a figure that I would recommend checking out, especially if you're a fan of the character and the Bumblebee solo movie. Now, coming into spot number 8 is actually a figure which I personally find to be incredibly underrated. It is the new age version of Dark the Moon Soundwave. Once again, an MPM style version of this character, and by far the best live action movie Soundwave we've ever gotten. New Age absolutely knocked it out of the park, not only with the Soundwave figure, but some of his minions. The Ravage is by far the best live action movie Ravage we've ever seen. The attention to detail, the proportions, the articulation, everything about this is just spot on to what we saw in the movie, even down to the really awesome paintwork. And the same can also be said here for this version of Laserbeak. This guy looks incredible, really fantastic attention to detail, as well as pretty decent articulation. But the main event is by far Soundwave. Now, not only is the Dark of the Moon Soundwave my favourite design for the character, but it's also the look that we saw the most of in the movie, so you can really begin to compare this figure to some of the CGI stills as well as clips from the film, and honestly it's literally as if though this guy's been ripped straight out of the silver screen. They did an absolute fantastic job. The attention to detail as well as the paintwork on him is fantastic, and he is indeed transformable. All of the figures featured on this list can transform, and he's a Mercedes-Benz SLS AMG Alt mode is one of the best third-party vehicle modes that I've personally ever seen. Usually you see if the robot mode is super cool, then more than likely the vehicle mode will have some compromises or sacrifices made, but nope, not at all here with this figure. His materials are excellent, and they've really just come out of the blue here with this guy. As before they released him, I don't believe they've ever actually covered any live action movie figures, and since his release, sadly, we haven't actually gotten any more from them, and that's something I'm really hoping to see fixed in the future, as honestly, he was such a first great entry for their live action movie line, and I just cannot wait to see as to what else they've got up their sleeves. You can see the amazing amount of detail going on here for the back as well as the chrome. I do in fact have a really detailed review on this guy, so I would highly recommend checking that out for those of you who wish to see him in more detail. But definitely New Age Soundwave is by far a figure for those of you who like the live action movies that I would highly recommend you add to your collection. So making his way onto this list and taking spot number 7 is the Unique Toys Peru Kill, also known as the Age of Extinction Lockdown. Oh my goodness, this particular release absolutely shattered the expectations of many live action movie fans, as up until this point the third party scene for live action figures was pretty dry, and then this guy came on the scene and honestly absolutely blew our socks off. He still, even to this date, is one of my favourite third party figures of all time, and honestly he really established the Unique Toys brand. All of their figures have just been so well done, and it's really just such a shame as their company has appeared to shut shop with the most recent release of Galvatron. But actually taking a look here at Lockdown, much like many of the figures on this list, he is by far the best live action movie version of Lockdown we have ever gotten. He looks remarkable. Up until this point we had really only gotten dire figures from Hasbro, such as their awful deluxe Transformers 4 Lockdown, and then we got the Studio Series Lockdown, which once again wasn't the best, but honestly this guy takes the cake. He's got that awesome head cannon that we saw him utilize in the movie. The robot mode proportions are just incredible. He looks exactly how he did on film. He came with an interchangeable breather mask, which is just awesome, as well as actually coming with one of those robotic dogs that we see featured on his ship. He has some of the best engineering I personally have ever seen. It beats pretty much all of the official Takara Tomy MPM figures. It just is so smooth. There are no areas which I find to be particularly too difficult nor too simplistic. It's just a perfect balance, and it results in a very, very awesome Lamborghini alternate mode. So once again, this guy certainly is one of the best third-party figures of all time, and I'm pretty certain that with the 360 turnaround that I'll showcase in this video, you guys will be able to agree with me, as he really does look as if though he's jumped straight from the movie and here into my review station. So definitely Peru Kill, aka Age of Extinction Lockdown, is worthy of a figure adding to your collection. Taking spot number 6 is of course the Devil Savior Devastator. Now in a way this is sort of a cheat, as this guy is in fact actually comprised of multiple third-party Constructicons, but honestly I could not do a top 10 movieverse third-party list without adding this guy onto it. He's by far probably one of the most impressive third-party figures we've ever gotten. The only reason why he didn't rank higher is because you do need all of the Constructicons in order to form him, whereas some of the other ones are just individual releases. But each of these figures I think are excellent. Now of course it was rather hit and miss at the beginning. We had a really complex conversion from Mixmaster, which I know turned so many people off, but with some of their most recent releases I really do think they've managed to fine-tune the engineering, and this is by far one of the most awesome third-party figures that I currently own in the collection. When this guy is finished, he's probably going to be one of the holy grail pieces in my entire collection. He looks remarkable. This is by far going to annihilate pretty much any of the other Devastator figures that are out there, as even now with just the arm and the head attached, he just looks so movie accurate. He truly is an astonishing looking piece. I think each of the Constructicons are pretty decent in their own right. Of course they are slightly wonky in some areas, but honestly the Devastator just looks so well done. So those compromises for me are definitely worthy, and I just think that for those of you who are into the live action movies, looking to expand your movie masterpiece collection, you have to look into purchasing some of these Devil Savior figures, as honestly they are top tier, especially where the paint and the detail is concerned. So definitely this guy is one that you'll be seeing more of over on the channel when we begin to get some of those final Constructicons. I believe there's only 2 more to go and then he's complete, but even as it stands, half completed, he is by far one of my favourite third-party figures that I currently own in the collection. So coming in at the halfway point by taking spot number 5 is the Unique Toys / DX9 Lahire, also known once again as a movie masterpiece version of Hot Rod based on Transformers The Last Night. Honestly, this is a very similar situation to Lockdown. Up until this guy's release, we had really gotten very bland and pretty poor figures by Hasbro. We got what was essentially a retool of an Age of Extinction figure for the deluxe Hot Rod in the Last Night line, which was just so bad. But this guy really does take the cake. He looks fantastic in robot mode, literally pixel perfect to what we saw on the silver screen, and considering he had a very complex movie design, that is definitely saying something. Now I do believe he was a collab between both Unique Toys and DX9, so I can't necessarily give Unique Toys all of the credit, but considering their Optimus Prime, their Lockdown, and even their Galvatron were remarkable, I can definitely see that they had a big hand in putting this figure together. The level of accuracy honestly is leaps and bounds better when in comparison to anything I could have ever imagined. He looks so spot on, down to the proportions here of the torso, the weapons, the placement of the paint apps, the placement here of the wheels, the proportions of his head sculpt, overall just everything, even the placement here of the door wings on the back, and you can see that they have in fact actually sculpted and painted some back detailing, something which is absent on many official Transformers by both Hasbro and Takara. Much like Lockdown, he has a very sophisticated transformation, but one that I don't necessarily think is too complex, and one that just works and flows so nicely. Despite him having a remarkable looking robot mode, he's incredibly well articulated, very well painted, and does in fact actually have one of the best alternate modes I've ever seen. He literally tidies up so nicely, and you wouldn't be mistaken for actually believing that his vehicle mode was a non-transforming figure, as he looks that damn good. Honestly, robot mode and vehicle mode, he's just a fantastic release, and I do believe that at the moment there is in fact a third-party underscale or upscale of this guy which you can currently pick up, which is slightly more readily available than I guess you could say the official version of this figure. So for those of you who are looking to add this guy to your collection, I would definitely try and track that figure down, as honestly he is, much like many of the figures on this list, one of the best pieces that I own in my entire collection. Buzzing his way into spot number 4 is the Transcraft Beetle, also known as a movie masterpiece version of Bumblebee from his Solo movie. Much like all of these figures, this guy is remarkable, and he's by far the best Bumblebee movie Bumblebee we have ever gotten that can transform. We had gotten 3-0 figures in the past which looked so awesome, but considering that Hasbro and Takara are the only company which can create transforming figures, 3-0 are all about the robot mode. But with this guy, he's about 2 modes. You can see that the robot mode literally looks so accurate to the movie. He comes with a great array of accessories, including an interchangeable battle mask, his cannon that is seen in the film, as well as 2 distinctive blades, which is just so awesome. I think his proportions proportions in robot mode, for the most part, are really well done. There is some lankiness to the arms, but honestly, I don't have a critique with that at all. I think the attention to detail, as well as the paintwork on this guy, is one of the best third-party figures that I personally have ever seen, and I also think the proportions, as well as the articulation on him, is excellent. He is MPM scaled, so will look really awesome next to your official MPM 12 Optimus Prime, as well as some of the other movie masterpiece figures, as well as third-party figures that have already been featured on the list. The transformation is definitely on the more complex side. He's probably one of the most complex Bumblebee figures that I own in my collection, but it results in a pretty decent VW bug. Now, he probably has one of the weakest alt modes out of the entire ensemble that I've showcased in today's video, but honestly, that's not saying much, as the vehicle mode really does look pretty decent, considering how accurate he is in the robot mode. My only real critique was that the vehicle mode looked very clean when in comparison to the dirty look that we've got here for the bot mode, but that's just a critique with the paint apps. I actually think the design of it is really well executed, and just as a whole, it's just such an awesome figure. The materials used on this truly are exceptional, and if you're looking for a Bumblebee to add to the collection and you can only add one movie masterpiece style figure, I would definitely recommend this Transcraft version. He beats, at least in my opinion, any of the Takara Tomy Bumblebee masterpiece figures that we've gotten, and that counts both G1 as well as Movieverse. And if you were to compare this guy to the actual Takara Tomy MPM 6 version of Bumblebee, I believe it is, then he absolutely annihilates it. So once again, another figure worthy of being on this list. So for the final three, and taking third spot, we have the G Creations Wrath, also known as Age of Extinction Grimlock. Oh my goodness, this figure is another one that actually turned out so much better than I could have ever possibly imagined. Originally teased in 2017, this guy only released towards the end of 2020, so this guy was really in development for about 2.5 years, and he absolutely delivered. Between his announcement and actual release date, we had gotten the official Studio Series Leader Class Grimlock from Hasbro, and honestly, I was pretty sufficed with that release. I thought it was a really great update on some of those Age of Extinction figures, and really wasn't all that excited for him, but actually getting him in hand, oh my goodness, not only are the materials used some of the best, he's by far one of the heaviest third-party figures that I have in my collection, due to him being an amalgamation of die-cast as well as some very heavy-duty plastic, but he's also one of the best painted. He literally looks exactly how he did on screen, and the transformation is not difficult at all, which is also something that completely shocked me upon getting him in hand. He has a phenomenal looking T-Rex mode, one of the best dinosaur modes that I've ever seen any company produce, and once again, if you're a fan of the Dinobots from Age of Extinction, or you're looking to expand your third-party collection, then G Creations Wrath is certainly a figure that I would recommend picking up, as he annihilates all of the official and unofficial competition, as we have actually gotten so many different upscales of this particular one, but I think G Creations takes the crown in definitely making their version of Grimlock a worthy king. Taking the runner-up spot in second place is actually the newest third-party addition to my collection, that being the Unique Toys Nero, also known as Galvatron, also from Age of Extinction, and what a fantastic figure this is. We've already seen a few Unique Toys products already featured on this list, and I'm pretty certain you guys were all blown away with the level of detail that they were able to pull off with these releases, but this guy is by far the best. Now sadly, as you may have heard me mention when we took a look at Lockdown, he is the final figure that Unique Toys currently have planned, which is just such a shame, as he is by far their best. The robot mode is the best version of Galvatron we have seen that can in fact transform. It beats the Prime 1 Studios version, and it absolutely obliterates anything that we've gotten from Hasbro, especially that really crappy Age of Extinction Voyager class figure. He looks incredible. The transformation literally is the definition of black magic. You can see all of the intricate paintwork as well as sculpt work that we've got going on here for the torso. It honestly looks as if though he doesn't transform, and you would not be mistaken for actually believing that this is a 3-0 figure or in fact a statue, as he is that accurate to how he appeared in the movie. Even taking a look here at the back, you can see the phenomenal attention to detail that Unique Toys actually went in getting this guy so close to the movie. It's just incredible. Honestly, I have no words for this guy. Check out my review if you wish to see him in more detail, but I just think he's a fantastic figure, has a pretty decent transformation, not too complex nor not too simplistic, and his actual vehicle mode, whilst not 100% perfect, is just so well done. Honestly, he was just so close to taking the top spot of being the best third-party figure that I own in my collection. He's so awesome, and even right now I'm quite divisive as to whether or not I should have put him in the first spot, so count this particular segment as a tie with the top spot. He's just so well done, really awesome articulation, very hefty, really good materials, a mix of die cast and plastic, and just overall a phenomenal looking figure. So taking the crown of being the best third-party figure that I currently believe you guys can pick up, it has got to be the Black Apple Thunder Warrior, also known as Optimus Prime, based on his 2007 live action movie debut. And what what a remarkable figure this is. Honestly, it is by far the best third-party transformable Optimus Prime that is currently out there. It looks exactly how he did in the movie. Even the attention to detail here on the back is just incredible. You can see the amazing amount of paint that this guy's got going on. Honestly, for a third-party release, he's painted better than some of the official premium products. It's just so well done. You can see we've got the chrome fuel tanks, the flame detailing, all looks fantastic, and he actually came with a slew of accessories. So not only can his fuel tanks actually transform into these awesome buster cannons, but he did include the blades. He comes with a swappable face gimmick as well as an embedded matrix of leadership, and he's full of die cast as well as plastic. And just check out the detailing, it's remarkable. Initially I expected him just to be a mere upscale of the MPM version of Optimus Prime from Takara, but nope, he is actually a complete rework. So the arms are completely different, the transformation for the torso is completely different. The only area of which is slightly familiar are the legs, but that really is an area which you can't necessarily mess around with too much, considering that the legs have to transform that way in order for him to actually convert into the truck. We've seen that with the old ROTF leader, we've seen it with some of the most recent Voyagers from Hasbro, so that is just how the legs convert. But everything about this guy I think is excellent. There are a few proportion issues going on here for the torso, but there are easy remedies to actually fix that out there, and I do believe that as of this recording there is in fact a reissue which you guys can pick up right now, so I will be sure to include a link as well as the discount code down in the description box below. But honestly, just such a fantastic Optimus Prime figure, feels and looks remarkable, and the truck mode honestly is one of the best third party as well as in general, I would just say the best looking Optimus Prime truck to date. Awesome figure, very complex conversion though. And so that was my top 10 live action Transformers movie third party figures. I really hope that you enjoyed this particular top 10. I would love to know your top 10 down in the comment section below. Do you guys agree with my list? Are there any figures that you believe I should have put on the list and perhaps left some off? If you guys take anything away from this video, it's that these two figures before me are by far the best third party figures that you can currently purchase, especially that Unique Toys Galvatron. Honestly, it's just such a fantastic figure, one of the best that I currently own, and that is by far the best live action movie transformable version of Optimus Prime that I also have in the collection. But that's not to discredit any of the others. I think each and every one of them are fantastic in their own right and are all definitive representations of their characters as they appeared in the film. I would love to know your thoughts on this video as well as my list, and also be sure to let me know your own personal lists down in the comment section. I thank you all for watching, and until my next video, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.